Good morning, Lafayette. It is great to be here this morning after a night of all kinds of weather happening, isn't it? That's what's been going on for sure. Hopefully you're able to hear me this morning. I'm still kind of trying to figure out all the bugs and bells and whistles of everything that's going on with the internet and how to work it out. I figured out and learned out some things from OBS, and I always got to have it at least on in the background so that I know whether I am being heard or not. And in actuality, now I'm being heard in my headphones. That's going to bother me for sure. All the bugs, bells, and whistles of everything that's going on with the internet, how to work it out. So, learned out some things from OBS, and I always got to have it at least on in the background so that I know whether I am being heard or not. That's how you stop it right there, right? Get rid of the headphones. All right, so good morning. I am your meteorologist, Bryan Burden. After a night of great weather, yes, weathermen always think bad weather is good. Really, most of the weather was not here locally. It was in different places around the state, and now it's already shifted back over to the cold weather that we were expecting during this time frame. So it's definitely something that we thought we were going to see, and we did see, and we were talking about it on Thursday and Friday coming through Sunday night, and it did definitely do that. Hopefully you have gotten through this pretty easily. I'm up here on the north side of town. I heard one clap of thunder. That was it. One. So I'm not sure if there was much more than that. It went through very quickly when it did go through, and then the temperatures just cratered overnight. We were in the 60s when the system got here early right before the system, and then we dropped off down into the 20s already, and that happened in just a few hours. Just boom, right, just like that. And now it's been a light snow is what you've been seeing in the local area and around and about. So it's definitely something that you got to get yourself used to when you see something that you think is spring, and then all of a sudden it feels like winter again. But in reality, this is spring. We have lots of ups and downs in spring. We have lots of wild temperature swings. We get thunderstorms. We get snow showers. We get cold wind, gusty wind. We get warm, southerly, hot wind too at times too. So we'll see a little bit of everything over the next couple of months before we settle into summer, and then 3 months of summer where it's just kind of steady hot the whole time, and then it'll do the same thing in October, November, back into kind of December. The ups and downs aren't quite as bad there, and it's not as lengthy, but there are ups and downs just like there are in the spring. It's just not quite as strong as it is in the spring. In the spring, we tap into that moisture to the south a lot of times with low pressure systems, and that's where we get a lot of our severe weather. During this time of the year, that is for sure. I'm gonna go right over the charts. I've got OBS on, but I'm not sure how I'm doing everything and what I'm doing because my cursor's moving around on my screen on its own, and that may be because I need to get over to the charts. So let's just go right over the charts and see what's happening. You see what I got on my picture on there right now, right? So now I'm gonna put up. There I am. Woohoo! I'm on OBS there. All right. So hopefully you are now seeing me on the screen. I pop over and I see myself on YouTube to make sure I'm on, right? And you see the cursor. I don't know if many of you can see that or not, but the cursor is moving across the screen. I'm looking at myself in the thing here, and we're on a delay. So there we go. We got charts. I know that much, all right? And I feel pretty good about the fact that I'm in the corner of one of those pictures. And when we are on a live stream, I'm wondering if this is going to be something that will happen all the time when we do this or not. But let's get past the ins and outs of everything, and let's get right into some of the weather. Look at this. Temperatures dropped off to 28 degrees already this morning. 28 degrees. Winds 22 miles an hour, so you're probably seeing gusts of 30. That means your wind chill is basically 0 to about minus 5. See, feels like minus 3 it says out there right now. So wind chills just below 0. Gusty morning in spots and areas, definitely a little bit stronger than other places, and yet this morning it's a cold morning. What now? remember just a month ago that 28 would have been warm. We'd have been like, yeah, this is great. We got up to 28 today. Now we're like, man, 28. It was 65 yesterday. So that's just something to keep in mind. I think, matter of fact, if you look at some of the numbers, it looks like 70 might have been our high yesterday out at the airport. So very interesting on that front. But then temperatures just fell off all day and are all night, and very rapidly during a 2 or 3 hour period. We went from like 50 to like 30 really quick in like 2 hours last night. So today they're shooting for 29, but reality is we're just hovering right around where we're at. We may actually get a couple degrees warmer or colder, but it won't be much of a change at all during the day today probably. The low overnight, it says 19, but I think you're going to be talking more like 13 is what you're going to see tomorrow morning. We'll have to see how that goes on that front, see if it builds up that way. But generally speaking, I think the 19 so far. Now, this could be because of cloud cover. If the cloud cover stays over the top of us, then we won't get quite as cold as we could have. But if we clear out by tomorrow morning, expect more like 12 or 13, which is what we've been looking at for about 4 or 5 days now when we kind of looked at the interference already. So my question is am I going? 4 or 5 days now. When we kind of looked at. Yeah, I'm still going out. I don't know why that is, but for some reason the computer kicked out some noise all of a sudden. Right. All right, so now I got to watch it. So something with the microphone and everything else. Oh, Brian, you've got communication problems. Yes, you better believe it. All right, what's good about being on OBS, though, now is I can just switch right over to another screen that I have plotted up there to show you what's going on in the world and show you that we are right about here, right in this spot right there. All right, and with that, we are seeing some information where we've seen some of the scattered showers kind of go through, snow showers that is, right, over the last couple hours, and there's snow on the backside. Now, at times yesterday, the model was trying to show that we were going to get something like 3 inches of snow. I still don't believe that to be the case, but let's take a look at what the early morning model shows here in the next couple of hours. All right, here we go. It cuts across. We see some potentially little burst of some heavy snow here at times. Nothing real major on this front. Then it gets real thick right there this afternoon for a while. That's about 3 or 4 o'clock. It's a little heavy, so on your drive home, we might be having problems with a few folks. And then it lingers into the evening hours. And then here it is late in the day, 1 o'clock tonight. It still has some snow on us. What does it say amounts will be during that time frame? It does show, see, there's streaks. There's streaks. It looks like 1 inch around Lafayette is a possibility. None of it's sticking yet. It's the ground is rather warm. It'll start sticking here shortly, though, I would think some of the place. Plus, it's blowing all over. So it's going to be, piled up in corners at first. But it says, 1 inch potential, but there's some streaks here or there where there's 2 or 3 inches in there that you can see pretty easily at times. So, the potential is there, but it's very hit and miss. Most of us will probably see a half an inch to an inch if it's able to stick on the ground, or more piled up in corners is probably what we're going to see, most of us anyway, right? That's what we're going for. What does Kuchera say, the doctor of, there we go. He says about 1.5, and what was the other one? That was 1.2, wasn't it, I think? There we go, 1.2. So not much of a difference between the two at all. Man, my throat is already toast this morning. All right, so as we go through and we see what happens during the day, we see it's just pretty much going to snow all day, right? That's what we have. Let's go out to the big picture and look at it real quick again. The big picture of the Midwest, that is, all right? We can get that to pop up, and of course it slid over to the other one. I don't know if you can see the cursor moving, but the cursor is moving on my screen. It's jumping all over the place. All right, so let's go back to precipitation type and go back to where the low is, right? Now this model run is only like the first 16, 18 hours, right, of what we're seeing. And so you see the big low there, and it's moving. It's way up over Canada now, way over here, all right? And passed through to our north, right? Brought us the showers and some thunderstorms. Severe weather was back down farther towards the state line. Most of it, anyway. Most of the severe weather was down there. We had hits and bits and pieces back up towards us in different places. And so there was that possibility with that. Oh, I know what it might be. I got a second mouse plugged in. Let's see what happens here. See, now that one doesn't move, but it's the wire one, not the wireless. So I'm going to go with it because it's not moving really. Just for today. I'll figure it out. I keep saying that, but then I don't come back and look at stuff. So you guys see what you get from me, unfortunately. And this mouse moves fast. Fast moving mouse. All right, so here we are. We're showing where we are this morning, right? Okay. Then we're going through a couple hours of stuff real quickly here. And then it's just, you can see Lafayette is right here. Right there, okay? So we're in the middle of most of the snow shower activity coming off the back side of the lake. You can also see that the isobars are very close together, hence our gusty, windy conditions out there this morning, right? And when we go into it, we see there, boom, 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 hangs on. And then we get into the evening hours, it still shows streaks coming through, and it shows a pretty good band right over Lafayette. Now, again, you're trying to hit something that's 5 to 10 miles wide and exactly where 1 to 3 inches of snow could fall when most of us are going to see a half an inch to an inch, right? So that's going to be a tough thing to do, but you can kind of see the low is exiting. We're starting to pull in the cold air from the north, and it's going to be a chilly night overnight tonight, it looks like, at least on that front. Meanwhile, I'm still fighting the mouse. Hey, there we go. I went back to the old mouse there. And it stopped moving around. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they like each other because they're close to each other. We'll have to figure that one out. But I prefer it not to move much myself. I know how you guys are too. So let's look at the temperatures and what they're going to do crater as we go through the evening tonight. We're not going to go out far enough, but you can kind of see the push of how it worked, right? Look at what's happening in Ohio over here. This is where we were last night. We were at 50, 60 degrees, and then boom, a few hours later, we're in the 20s. And here we go. We continue. We're at 28, it shows, just about all day today. And you can continue to see during the day it warms up like it normally does, but not for us. It's about 27. And, anybody in the blue, it's pretty much staying close to where it was. No big warm up. There's some warm up out west, but because of the flow around the low, right, everything stays the same. Now look what starts to happen as we get into the nighttime hours. Now here we are by 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're down to 23, and we still have that persistent northwest wind, and temperatures have dropped into the single digits already by that time frame. Let's see if the 12Z. I don't think the 12Z goes out that far yet. It's only at 35%, and it does not go out that far yet, unfortunately. So I'm kind of stuck with the 11Z for another half hour or so. Maybe on the backside we can catch some of that. But the because the 12Z, 0, 0, 0, 6, 12, and 18Zs, the every 6 hours, I get a 48-hour forecast from the HER. But all the intermittent ones in between, it's just an 18-hour forecast. So it doesn't quite fully get itself out to tomorrow morning with this as the way it goes when you just go 18 hours, right? It stops at 1 o'clock in the morning for us, time-wise for us, that is. That's why I don't see that. Now, I can go back on, to the 6Z and see what it says because it gives me 48 hours. And what is it saying for tomorrow morning? And it lines up pretty good with, okay, there's 2 in the morning, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, right around 6, I see 11 degrees right there, okay, in Lafayette. That's Lafayette. Matter of fact, let's zoom in and see it. You can see the cold pocket back up to the northwest of us there in southern Minnesota where the temperature is like -9. So let's go and zoom in close. Here's Lafayette right here. And what you can see is, there's pockets. That's telling me, you see how it's streaky? Remember when I talked about the clouds, right? No clouds colder, right? Clouds warmer, right? So which one of these streaks is going to hit us? This is a hopscotch kind of pattern. It's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little less, a little more. That's not something you can forecast exactly on the money, right? Hence the reason why I say it's going to be 12 degrees if I said, and I locked in on 12 for Lafayette, and somebody over by Kokomo got down to 8 or 10 and says, I don't know what I'm doing because they got to 10 because it's in one of these streaks. That's the weatherman complaining. Sorry about that. Does happen once in a while. But streaky patterns. It even shows a few spots where it might be a little bit warmer where some of that cloud cover is, right? So what you can expect in this is when you see that kind of thing is where the clouds are is where the snow is going to be, generally speaking. You notice how it moves back and forth a little bit. Then during the day tomorrow, we are only going to get back up to about where we are this morning. Again, somewhere around 27 or so, and then by the nighttime hours, it starts to cool off. There's your high temperature tomorrow. That's right there is 6 o'clock in the evening, right? 27, 26, somewhere right in there for Lafayette. Stays right there for a little bit, and then it starts to drop a little bit for overnight. But the flow has now returned back to the south. Now the high-pressure system is starting to try to control weather. Now we're trying to get away from the low-pressure system that was there, and the next system's getting able to come closer and closer to us. And as we go farther out on that, we can see again, when we go back out wide, here's the big old next system coming in, right? And it's another low-pressure system off to the north. The high is tracked down to the south of us already and moved along underneath us at this point. So now we're starting to get a return flow, and you start to see some of the warmer weather coming in from the west and from the southwest for the next couple of days. And it will warm up as the week goes on. That's the good news there on that front. So let's keep it right here on the bigger picture right now, but let's go to the NAM and see what the NAM is saying. Well, temperature-wise on the NAM, it's a little easier to read. It's a little more spread out. There's less data on this one than there is on the HER. So you can see temperatures 25 in Lafayette. This one goes out a little farther. It looks like it's going to go out until maybe the well, we're at Wednesday now. This is during Wednesday. Notice Wednesday now we're back up to upper 40s, right? Upper 40s to near 50 degrees probably as a book at 50 for Wednesday right now is probably what we're going to see. Then we drop off back down into the upper 20s on Thursday morning, and then watch the rebound Thursday. Look at this. Now, book it. We got 60 degrees coming in on Thursday right there. You're going to see that 60, maybe 65 on Thursday. And look at this. You even got 80s and 90s in Oklahoma starting to pop up again already. Just like they did last week. And for days in some places, they'll see, just like we did, 20s, and then they're going to be in the 80s and 90s out in Kansas and Oklahoma in places by the end of the week, just as we will at this point. That's the way it looks. But let's see if there's any systems moving through. Doesn't seem like there's much to change anything at this point when we look at it. And we'll look at the precipitation. The winter precipitation type, you can see the system that's in the area now, and we watch it kind of go through just like we did. So the NAM looks the same, right? Let's quickly look at the total amounts for snow from the NAM. The NAM only shows like a half an inch for everybody, right? Doesn't show that streakiness in the pattern at all. Even when I push it out a little bit, that's it. Yeah, so that's it for the NAM. So that's more likely what's going to happen for most of us tonight. Today into tonight as for snowfall and actual snow on the ground. You probably don't even have to shovel it, right? That's the kind of thing. Then we watch a system come barreling in. What night is that? That is tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. Okay, so now we're talking like this is 4 o'clock Wednesday morning, 5 o'clock Wednesday morning on your trip into work. And it pops right about 1 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the morning, all right? So this is 6Z, which is 2 in the morning. Lafayette's right there getting it. Now, this thing kind of pops through pretty fast. One of our classic, not nor'easters, but your classic Alberta clipper moving through the area pretty quickly. And what does it say in that 12 hours or that 24 hours of snowfall? Well, Kuchera says 1.3, which is usually a little over the top. But it does say there's a potential for an inch. And every time a clipper comes through, we tell you that usually it's 1 to 2 inches of snowfall. So this is showing 1 inch. And that kind of fits the pattern, right? This is a classic Alberta clipper coming zipping out of the area of Alberta, Canada. That's kind of where it got its name. And the clipper ships were fast-moving ships way back in the day. Some of my friends would know that because they sailed on a few of those. I'm old too now, so I can say that. So... What we got though is potentially 1 inch of snow. It shows on this, and that's what was that again? That's Wednesday, Tuesday into Wednesday, right? Let's get our dates right here again on this. Let's go back to precipitation type. Okay, so that's Tuesday night, tomorrow night, right? So we're still cold today. We're going to be cold tomorrow, and then Wednesday we start really warming up. And each day gets like 10 degrees warmer. Boom, boom, boom. Right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So while we're in the 20s today, tomorrow we're going to be in the 20s again, right? And then Wednesday we're probably going to be in the 40s. So a little more than 10 degrees, 45 right there somewhere. The next day we're in the 50, or I think I even said 50, didn't I say for Thursday, right? Or with Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday. So you can see the pattern, what's happening here. Couple cold days, couple shots of some of the weather coming through, right? And then it's going to be one of those kind of things where you are set up to see what's happening throughout the pattern, and it will get warmer and warmer and warmer. And so this is the NAM. It only goes out to Thursday at 18Z, which is 2 o'clock in the afternoon Thursday. It does show a scattered light shower around during that time frame as a weak system tries to come bumbling through. Same kind of thing, a clipper, but tries to go through. So maybe a light shower chance. Wow, it doesn't look like much, does it? But you never know when you're in, you get hit by one of those. And then if you go to the European model and we go back to where it says for snowfall, it shows only 1.2 inches through this whole entire time frame. That's both systems. And what's it saying for the first system snowfall? Here we are to overnight tonight, right? What are we going to have during the day today? And it just doesn't show hardly anything. 2/10 of an inch, 3/10, and then tomorrow night another tenth to up to a half. So that's what it's saying. And then later in the week, now there's the Tuesday system bumping in there, 1 to 2 inches, right? 1.2 is what it shows. So it shows literally just a half an inch for this system, and maybe 1 inch possible up to 3/4 really is what it's showing. And then it's nothing, because then there's no snow. It's too warm, right? Precipitation wise, it looks like this. Remember, they look a little different with the way this European model is set up right now. Shows the snow kind of lingering, right? Here comes our clipper for tomorrow night. Boom, into Wednesday. And then, boom, there's that one little disheveled system on Thursday that could bring a rain shower. Looks a little more, not organized, but a gap, a package of rain, where the other model showed just hit and miss stuff all over the place. This shows like there could be a shower or two, and it actually misses us just to the north. Lafayette's right here. Right, so that would be more like Monticello. Looks like Monticello could get some showers from this, that kind of thing. But it's 3 days out. We'll get more accurate with that. That's one of those pinpoint ones. As I keep going into the future here, now on Friday, I don't see any rain over Lafayette, which is right there, all right? And then we keep moving, nothing. And then, well, there's something way out Sunday night. Maybe we catch the tail end of something, right? There it is. Gets a little bit better. Sunday night into Monday next week. But it's not cold. It's warm. And then it continues to stay that way. Here comes a system, finally. We're not seeing any of your daddy systems, like I like to call them. To me, my daddy was whoever was teaching me in forecasting school, and this is classic system, right? We're not seeing any of that. Last week, we saw the classic system coming in last night into today, and that's exactly what happened, right? We got that one. The long-range models will pick those up a little easier. These little disturbances that go by that I show you that are a week out or whatever, totally changed by the time they get there, a lot of them. All right, so here's a system that's a little stronger. Looks like some showers and maybe some thunderstorms next Tuesday, March 25th. All right, here we are on the 16th. Now, today is the 16th. And then there's a system, but remember, this one's coming out of the north, right? You can see where it's coming from. And while the cold is still to the north of us, it's not tapping into any of the southern explosion of moisture and heat it can get into, so it doesn't have as much rain with it, right? It just doesn't have that. It's in an area where there's less precipitation and less moisture that it can get a hold of. For instance, the systems to the south generally come up, they tap into the Gulf of America, and then they're able to get that pretty easily. And then the system settles south of us, and that makes me think it's going to be cold for a little while. So while that system comes out of the north, we'll go back for where that is right there, March 26th. We're getting into Thursday next week, right? Next week. And it settles, goes south of us, right? And then it kind of becomes stationary along here with the cold air north of it. And let's see, and then it falls apart, right? There it goes. So there it is south of us. And we see the 540 line is right in here, all right? And it kind of stays there. It's around us now. It's back to the north, so we're back into the warm. So that cold doesn't look very long, and then we just get a couple systems here or there. Let's see what the GFS says. We'll go to GFS. It'll change it back to the winter mode where we can see the difference between rain and snow easier, which I like. There's our Clipper system. Now that's Clipper system. It has it a little bit farther south than the other ones, which had it right going over Lafayette. I see more of it down here than I saw on the last one. So that's something to keep in mind with that as we go through that on that system. That we are seeing that kind of information on it, that it's in a different area or could be in a different area than the other model is showing. Hence the reason it gets to be so hard to forecast sometimes when they're, in this case, maybe 100-mile difference between the thickest snows and the weakest snows during that one, all right? And let's go back to GFS real quick just to see what it jokingly says about the snowfall. Total snows. Now it shows a lot more, it looks like, with the which system. The first system, it just shows about 0.8 of an inch. And then tomorrow night, the Tuesday night into Wednesday, it shows 1.5 inches. See, but it does put a shot right on top of us, and it doesn't show as much to the south of us during that time frame, right? So it looks like actually snow totals are going to be more tomorrow with the system tomorrow, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, than there will be with the system that's in here today. All right. Based on these, you're seeing half-inch totals mainly for most of us today, but we see lots of streaks where there was 1.5 inches of snow potential. A lot of stuff being pushed into corners of buildings and places where it stops, where the wind pushes it. That's where you'll see most of your snow today. Like I'm out here in the county, a lot of those fields are just going to be windswept with everything in the corners. In most places, and because there's just too much wind. So here comes our Clipper, and then there's the other inch, and all the models seem to be around 1 inch. So go 0.5 inch to 1.5 inches generally on this system. We'll see what happens for tomorrow night, see what happens by tomorrow morning, see if it builds any stronger. It bumps then with a couple little systems to our north, and then Friday, Saturday, the end of this week, it just kind of settles in. There's nothing there big system wise, lots of little things, which can be annoying because it'll look like it may not want to rain, and then 12 hours later the model picks it right back up and it rains after we were telling you it wasn't going to. So those kind of things happen when you get the very weak little systems. Don't be fooled. Every time you see a bigger storm like this one, this is way out next Wednesday, right? Again, this is a little bit bigger. This looks a little more stronger system-wise compared to what the European model was showing, which is unusual because the European model tends to show more dramatic changes a lot of times. It seems like, to me, that's why I call it, the excitement model. That's what they use for excitement. Whenever they want to say it's going to get really cold, they usually look at the European model and it's really cold compared to what maybe the GFS is here, the global model. But here we are Wednesday. There goes that rain through. You can see its 540 line settles in right near Lafayette also, as we are right there, right? And then it kind of comes along us. And so it looks like snow's not even done by the end of next week. We still have a potential for a little bit of light snow coming through during that time frame. But that's next Friday and Saturday after the system goes through. Look at this. There's no rain. There's no nothing. It's quiet. There's a high pressure system. Nope, that's a weak little low trying to wash through the area. Nothing with it because it's coming out of the north. There's just not much precipitation, not much cloud cover with those kind of systems sometimes. winds, and when they come straight out of Canada like that. So it may get a little colder again back at the end of March, but not real cold, because I still see most of the time my 540 line is north of us. That's just generally looking at it. Let's see what it says for those temperatures way out there, right? Because we've kind of looked for the first week, and we'll see the same pattern, right? Cold early, right? Cold early, boom, 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 boom. And then we start to warm up by Wednesday. There we go, Wednesday's temperatures. Even after that front goes through, right? It's trying to get us close to 50. So somewhere in there, and then we're only around 30 overnight, and by Thursday we're pushing 60, and then by Friday, bam, we're pushing 70, right? And then we're along the edge of line where things are changing, but it's a little bit farther to the north for us. Saturday, here we are, maybe some cloud cover. There's that 60, but we're still getting near 70 degrees. Look at that, maybe even mid-70s. That's a 73 on there for Saturday afternoon. And then we get a little wash of a front. Remember, then it comes out of the north, cools us off for a little bit. We're back in the 20s at night a couple of nights, maybe even back to only 35 or 40 during the day next Monday. And then next Tuesday, we're cold in the morning. We warm up back up to near 50, 45 somewhere during the day. And then we kind of go along, and we start to warm back up. Slowly warm back up during the week. Look at that. Here we go. We can see the pocket of warm trying to get to us. And there's just nothing real major, but then we have a one cold day, and then there's a warm day, and we're kind of, but our trend is still up. Here we are by next Sunday. We're back to 60. Look at this pocket. Big old pocket of 90s out here in Nebraska, Kansas. Who said that Kansas was cold and Nebraska was cold? They're in the 90s next week already. All right, and then we're showing 60s and 70s just about every day by the end of next week, and then there's another shot of cold. So very normal here. We're seeing 2-3 days of warm, 2-3 days of cold, 2-3-4 days of warm, 2-3-4 days of cold. That's the kind of scenario we're going to see. Not much is going to change on that front for us at all during this period. So that's where we're at weather-wise. We go back in. I'm going to go back to the HRRR real quick and see how much of the 12Z is in. Let's see here. About 68%. So let's see where the precipitation is on this. Winter model, precipitation type. All right, so it's not fully done, but let's backtrack a little bit. Here we are in the middle of the day today, right? Here we are. Let's go back to where? 10 o'clock, okay? And I'm going to zoom in on this. Let's zoom in on this. We already kind of have a general idea of the pattern in the snow. Lafayette's right about here, okay? And we're going to cut across, and we're going to see the snows. And again, they're kind of streaky, right? You see streaks. You're not going to be able to pinpoint the streak like this and say, Monticello's going to get this. It could be Lafayette, or it could be up towards, Monticello's up here, sorry. Lafayette could be Crawfordsville, right? Or it could be farther south, these little streaks. You notice they're only 20 miles apart in between everything. So it's like 20 miles here, 20 miles there. Then there's 20 miles of snow. Then there's 20 miles of mix. Then there's 20 miles of this. You can't pinpoint that kind of stuff very easily. So that's why we're a half an inch for most of us, and isolated spots of maybe 1.5 inches, it seems to me, is the way it looks at this point. But it holds the snow on till, okay, there's 8 o'clock tonight. It's still light snow in the area, right? Then it's 1 o'clock in the morning, or 9, 10, 11. Still shows light snow over us for potential. Now we're all the way out till tomorrow morning. It still shows snow over Lafayette. This is at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. It finally gets it out of there. What does it say for total snow? Same thing. It's just streaky streaks, right? If you're in one streak, you're only getting 1/2 inch to 1 inch. If you're in another streak, you might get 2 inches. So that's the kind of potential you're going to see with this. Most of us in that 1/2 inch to 1 inch category. Lots of spots will see maybe 2 inches in different areas. But look how it's such a streaky pattern. And the reason there's more right here is you notice the model held that one streak kind of over us almost the whole time during that time frame. All right. Let's continue on and see how it does, though. Then it just continues on out, and it kind of falls apart. And the snow develops a little bit farther east later in the day on Tuesday. Maybe we get some flurries out of that, but it looks like most of the flurries are done. And then it starts to show our Clipper system approaching from the northwest during that time frame. And I don't think the NAM has gotten going yet out that far. Yeah, the NAM hasn't even really started moving yet on that front. So there you go. That's it for now. Wow, weather-wise, there's a lot going on again as usual. I didn't even get to the satellite pictures. Normally I start off with the satellite pictures, but with the is this working, is that working, is this working, is that working, I totally forgot about it. I didn't even show you any truck stop stuff going on either. Right? So let me take a look at some of that real quick here. All right, we'll go into weather data. Let's go into satellite first, because I do like looking at the satellite. Just kind of gives you a good idea of what's going on, right? That's one of the first things they taught us was you got to go to see what's happening overhead first. You got to see what's the big picture. Well, the big picture is a big storm. Already gone through most of it. For us, we're on the backside in this area here, which is gray, right? Obviously, this is a visual, and we're going to lose it pretty quick. Watch. You see how the sun moves from east to west. But no, the planet's flat. Oh, sorry, flatliners out there. There is no. I've seen it. It's round. I've been to the bottom of it. So there you go. We had some fun with that one. But there you go. So the front's already off to our east. We're getting the tail end of it on the backside where the snow is, and all the heavy rain and potential thunderstorms are going to be out to our southeast, maybe eastern Tennessee into the Carolinas today, back up the Appalachians, and along the coast is where they're going to see a lot of that rain and precipitation today. Now we go into regional sectors. We come in a little closer. And this, again, satellite. Now I'm going to switch it to infrared so we can see what the infrared looks like, which you can use at any time of the day. Remember, a picture of our temperatures. We do see the big pocket of cold out here. Look at this temperature pocket out here, because there's no cloud cover out here. You can see the lakes standing out really well in this. But it's cold. That's below zero. Remember, we've known that now pretty much most of the winter, that anytime we get into this color here, we're talking below zero temperatures. Now, you say, Brian, well, this is the same color or close to it. You notice the movement. This is cloud cover moving. No movement here. All you're seeing is it getting warmer. It kind of backtracks already this time of the morning. 8 o'clock in the morning out there, they're already backtracking their temperature pretty quick. For us, one low goes north. There's a small low here, probably as the troughing behind the system, and you're seeing some snowfall that's involved with Lafayette being right there, right? And there's just enough snow. And look at it, goes all the way back out to the Mississippi right now. So we have to get past this back end, tail end later today before we're actually going to get a little bit better off. And then we can zoom in a little closer. Here we go. Lafayette's right here, and you can see that much easier with the mixture of clouds, a lot of low clouds, right? A lot of flurries, a lot of light snow being picked up, and some higher clouds, yes, but not really involving what happens with the snow at all. And if we throw the mosaic radar over the top of that, look at this. You can see there was a band of some pretty good snow that went through, and then it's open. And then there's some more streaks. You can see the streaks coming from Illinois, right? So it looks like maybe an hour or two where it's just a flurry or two, not much to really worry about. And then we've got more snow coming in from the northwest for later in the morning. Let's look even closer. All right, Lafayette's right here. There's a big band of, light snow, basically, that kind of came through. And you see the movement. It's so fast, right, because the winds are so strong. So it doesn't have time to sit over the top of you and drop an inch of snow over you, right, until you get into maybe one of these bands. And it looks like there's a streak of a band that may come just to our north. Maybe where's this one going to go? Where's this thick spot here in central Illinois going to go, right? It's all coming at and near us. It's just going to be hit and miss as it does. Breaks apart, falls apart, moves in different directions. Very kind of fluty, just kind of crazy feel for it. But that's what you're going to see over the next 12 hours, at least during the day today. All right. So then we go from here. And I love to show you what the truckers are seeing outside, right? So we got to go out and see what they're seeing. Let's go and look at what the truckers are seeing. Look at there's lots of spots. The snow plows are out all over the place too. So these smaller dots on here are snow plows. But I'm going to go right to a camera that's set. Now look see just a little bit of light snow maybe caressing the ground. We're really not going to get, remember the ground was warm, so at first it doesn't want to keep much of it. Our visibilities aren't bad. I'd say that's about a mile. mile, maybe a mile to make. I don't think that's 3 miles, but that could be 3 miles out to that tree line out there. But we definitely have good visibilities. Roads are fine up there to the north, right? So now let's come a little farther south. Now we're down to 43. I don't see hardly anything on the ground at all anywhere, right? I do see a wet road and some light traffic, but it is snowing. You can see there's a little bit of snow coming down. At least that's what it looks like in the picture. As we go to over to 25, where it runs into 65, still nothing really on the ground accumulating, but we see the light snow in the air, and I can see all the way back up to where 43 is. So that's 3 miles visibility in that direction. It's roughly 2 to 3 miles going up there. When you're driving through here, you know what the distance is. Somebody probably knows the exact distance. But right now, we'll call it 2 miles visibility and some light snow going that direction. We see a little bit on the bridges. Remember how they always say, you know why that is? The bridges can get the air underneath them. That's why they can get colder faster. Hence the reason bridges get cold. And they'll pick up a little bit of the snow. Remember I said the ground is warm, yet we're starting to see just a little bit here, but we didn't see it at 43, but we're seeing it here at 26, see? So everybody's a hit and miss kind of thing. Now let's go down to Dayton. There's Dayton, no cars. Where'd all the cars go on Dayton? Not a single car, and maybe one around the corner. Well, was that good timing, or is there something going on down there that I don't know of right now? Bridges picking up, starting to pick up in protected areas where the ground was a little colder. There's hardly no sun on this side of the bridge right here, so that's why this ground is probably colder. But I also see a little bit in the field here or there. So we go all the way down to Frankfort. Look at this. There you go. Now you got some snow on the ground there. Not much. That's a dusting to maybe quarter, half inch on the ground down there. And look at how foggy it is. That's that batch of snow we were just looking at, that thicker batch that was on the satellite picture that we changed over to the radar. And look they only got about quarter to a half a mile visibility here. But the roads are still pretty clear. Looks like there's some streaks. You can see the runs down the middle. But generally speaking, they look pretty clear at this point. Drivable, right? Drivable. And then if we go back to the radar, there it is, popped right through it. See this? They just went through this thick stuff right here. See that right there? How it went through the southern portion of the county, right? And it's a little thicker there, yet still they only got maybe a quarter to a half inch on the ground, right? There's not much there at all on the ground. So they hit that little thickness right there, where the northern portion of the county didn't get any of that, right? We had a little bit earlier. So where do these hit and streak through, right? So you started noticing it at Dayton, then you saw it big time at Frankfort. The visibility probably going to get better there pretty quickly, and that's their snowfall is the way it looks right now. All right, so that's weather. Let's hit another big thing here before we get out of here today. We got to hit Purdue. All right, got to hit Purdue on this front. I'm going to actually, let me see here. I think I'll come back out real quick and say hi to everybody. Hello, everybody. And then I'll go to the Purdue page and read off some of the stats for you so you can kind of look at me and so you don't have to wander into there. Now, if you were under a rock the last few days and you're a sports person, sorry for that, but you missed a great Big Ten tournament from the Purdue Boilermakers, who went ahead and beat Michigan last night. Yes, they did. Yesterday afternoon, about 3:30 in the afternoon, they decided, well, we're going to win this tournament and see if we can get a 2 seed out of the tournament for the NCAAs coming up. And that is exactly what happened. They moved all the way to the last number 2 spot. I said it was a possibility last week. The guys and I talked about it yesterday before the game even happened, that we knew they were going to be a 3, that they might be as bad as the worst number 3 if they lose, or the best number 2 if they win. And they won. They beat Michigan, and then they are the worst number 2. But all that means is you don't have to face the number 1 until the last game going into the Final Four. And you would have had to do that anyway, even if you're number 1. You would have been facing, let's say the roles were reversed, and Purdue's number 1 and Arizona's number 2, well, you would have been playing each other the last game either. So 1-2 is really where you want to be. But then 3-4 is the next stream, and then after 4, it's crazy there. You don't know who you're going to play or what you're going to play at any given time. You're not probably as good either. So Purdue, the 8th, basically the 8th seed. But the numbers say that because of the schedule they played and who they beat at different times, that they deserve this, all right? So they came in as the number 7 seed in the Big Ten tournament, but they won the entire thing, right? They will go to the NCAA tournament for the 11th straight time, taking on number 15 seed Queens. And no, it's not in New York. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina, I believe is where it is, Queens. And this is their first chance to get into the tournament, and they were able to win their turn. I think they won their tournament and they got in. All right. And this will be in St. Louis. This is your chance to go watch a game there in St. Louis live if you wanted to go see a game and see Purdue play. On Friday evening at 7:35. Otherwise, it's on True TV, and they will be at the Enterprise Center there in downtown St. Louis, I believe is where it is. All right, so 7th-seeded Miami, Florida will face number 10 seed Missouri in the other game on Friday, right? So if you win your first game, you're going to play either Miami of Florida or Missouri in the second game. Whoever wins that game, you're going to play the winner of that game, all right? And Missouri, for them, that's like a home game, right? So, because it's in Missouri. All right, the Boilermakers enter the 2026 NCAA tournament as the number 2 seed in the West region, and Purdue has been a top 4 seed in their last 9 NCAA tournament appearances. That is the most active, or the longest active streak in the nation right now, and the 4th longest in history, all right? Kansas did it from 01 to 19. They had 19 years. Duke did it for 11 years from 08 to 19. And North Carolina did it from 89 to 99 for 11. Duke's was 12. Number 18, Purdue. We know they're better than that. They slapped them around. Yes, they got slapped around the last part of the season. They looked lost. They didn't feel like they were playing with any thunder. The Thunder from down under showed up, though, this weekend, right? He brought a lot of the Thunder down under with him, and him and Braden Smith and TKR and Fletch let them have it. And you know what I think also in this? I think CJ is going to have a huge NCAA tournament because he was kind of quiet. CJ still played a great game, don't get me wrong, as the other starter. But we didn't have one of those big outbursts like we kind of get from CJ once in a while. I'll bet he does something in the NCAAs to do that too. And all the other guys are playing really good right now. They've got their focus. Now they can get a few days rest, get out there Friday night, and go ahead and take on not, I wanted to say the Bronx, but the Queens, right? And the Queens, which is not in New York, it is in North Carolina, all right? So Purdue won the Midwest region, or will be in the Midwest region after they won the Big Ten tournament and beating Michigan 80-72. They came out in the second. It was tied at half. Purdue came out, put a hurting on them in the first 10 minutes, first 5 minutes, took the lead and never let it go after that. And for one of the first times during the season, and some of the commentators said this, the Michigan guys were running around like they weren't sure what was going on. Like they didn't have an idea how to correct things. Yet they seemed to be scoring at will at times, which bugged me a little bit because there was 3 or 4 times down in a row where they gave up, dunks or layups or whatever, some easy shots Purdue did to Michigan. Yet Michigan still looked like they were kind of lost a few times. And they didn't have their heart in them. I don't know. I don't think that's that team because that team's been wiping people out. They're still, if they're not the best team in the country, they're the second best. And they are a number 1 seed in their bracket. So we'll have to see what happens. But Michigan just didn't seem to be, up until probably midway through the fourth quarter, I thought they're in it. This is going to be tough all the way going down the stretch. And then it seemed like guys were running around and didn't have maybe they were tired. It was their 3rd game in 3 days, but Purdue was playing their 4th in 4 days. And the heart was there, and it showed. It came out. The heart of a lion right there. You saw it. Braden Smith was named the Big Ten Tournament Most Outstanding Player after finishing with a 14-point, 11-assist, double-double, and pulled within 1 assist of Bobby Hurley's NCAA all-time record of 1,076 career assists. So he's 1 away from tying it and 2 away from getting it, and he's going to get that against Queens on Friday, that's for sure. The Boilermakers are now 27-8 and 17 wins against Quad 1 and 2 teams. In its first year of eligibility, Queens made the NCAA tournament after transitioning from Division II. They outlasted Central Arkansas 98-93 in overtime to claim their first ASUN tournament championship. The Royals are 21-13 on the year, including a 13-5 mark in conference action to finish third in the ASUN. What was that? That's the ASUN, the Atlantic Southern University, whatever. Tournament championship. Okay, Queens features the 19th ranked scoring offense, so they can score the ball, that's for sure. And are 17th nationally with an effective field goal percentage of 56.7%. Boasting a balanced attack, the Royals are one of 2 teams in the country to have 6 players average double figures this season. Okay, so you have an offensive team. Purdue needs to play defense. Okay, because we know they can play offense. These guys can throw it in the bucket. Here's the good news. This Queens team is almost dead last in defense. They're like 350th. I looked it up on KenPom. I was like, that can't be right, is it? There's only like 365 teams, and they're 350th in the country in defense. So every time they play a big team like Purdue or one of the major teams, right, in the big conferences, they give up 100 points or more. Like 5 of the 6 games they played, they gave up 100 points or more. So, of course, that can help you as an offense because Purdue gets up by 20 or 30 and is going towards 110. They're gonna, their defense isn't gonna be quite as much, which makes it a little easier on the Royals to score. And the Royals may still score 90, right? Because of that. Now you can see where some of the points may come from. But point being is they're not a very good defense at all at this rate. So I'm excited about the games coming up. This is what we've been waiting for all year to see how they're going to do when they come down to the finish and what they're going to be able to do for Purdue. And these seniors that have been together for so long and have played so many games together. Now it's one or done, baby. If you lose one game, you're out. So 6 to the finish. That's what we're looking for. 6 to the finish. And I'll probably be covering, them off and on during the week after each weather segment. And if you've tuned in before, my weather segments go 35 to 45 minutes. And I go through all the charts. I kind of go through the close-in days a little bit more, and then we get out farther and we look at some of the trends out there, and we try to figure out trends and try to figure out what we're going to be looking at. And then I'll shift over to basketball or football. Sometimes national news, right? What's going on? And what's going on in Iran? I don't know. I know we're pounding them with plenty of weapons and stuff. And I'm still wondering why they're trying to hang on. But I'm waiting for the people to come up in Iran. But I understand the people's thoughts. They were given rules by their leaders to shoot people who came out and protested, and to shoot them from the rooftops if they needed. And there's video of that got out. How did that get out? Because they let that out to make sure people knew that's what they were going to do. So a lot of people staying in their homes instead of coming out and protesting and trying to take over the government. We're going to see this going to be a big showdown this week with the people of Iran and the Iranian leaders. I think this week is what we're probably going to see. We'll see what that does with us backing them and Israel backing the people of Iran, not the leaders of Iran. So we'll see what happens. I think you may see something big by the end of this week for sure. We'll see what happens one way or the other, probably. All right, so that's the front on there. There we go, nationally. Done. Back to Purdue, right? So, there's tickets that you can get online in different places. Let's see if I can get some of the numbers from the actual men's team from the game and that kind of thing. They show on the number 2 seed. Purdue wins Big Ten. Okay, there it is. Purdue. That's what's another bad thing about the Big Ten tournament right here. About having it late like that. They're the last tournament to finish. They start at 3:30. They get done around 5:30, and at 6 o'clock, all the numbers are coming out for the NCAA tournament. There's no big push. Everybody starts talking about the NCAA tournament. They stop talking about the Big Ten tournament and what happened in it and how Purdue won against Michigan, right? So that's what they stopped doing. And that's unfortunately for any team that wins. I think Michigan won it last year. That's unfortunate for them. People forget so quickly because now we're into the NCAA tournament. We forget what happened. But here's some of your scores and your numbers. Trey Kaufman-Renn scored 20 yesterday. Oscar Clough scored 21. I thought Michigan's big men were supposed to be the best in the country. Now, that being said, they set up and they looked to me like they play defense like Purdue plays defense. Straight up, trying not to foul, make it tough on the guy. If he makes the bucket, he makes the bucket. Well, Purdue took it right to them. And the team high plus minus was Trey Kaufman-Renn at plus 20 when he was in there. Somehow Oscar Clough was only -2 when he was in there. I don't understand that. He scored 21 points, though. Fletch scored 14. Braden scored 14. Jack Benner scored 7. And C.J. Cox had 4. The only other guys who shot was Jakari Harris, who was 0 for 2, and Omer Meyer, who was 0 for 3. And yet they were still only -2 and -5 for when they were in playing. They chipped in some rebounds for them also, though, too. And there was an assist from Daniel Jacobson and a rebound from Daniel Jacobson. In his short time that he was in there, he's only in there about 3 minutes. And what I see here is both teams pretty much played their starters almost the entire game. 38 minutes from a Michigan guy, 34 minutes, 26, 28, 23. Purdue's the same thing, 37 from Braden, 32 from Fletch. Then it drops off, 27, 24, 24. So the teams both wanted to win. There was no doubt about that when I look at it. Field goal percentages for Purdue was 53%, 52.6. They were 30 of 57. And look at this, 30 of 64 for Michigan. And you say to yourself, well, they shot so many more shots. They shot 7 more shots. Purdue got to the line. Purdue was hammering it down low and trying to get to the line, right? And they were doing that, where Michigan was around the periphery most of the time and getting down low once in a while. But so Purdue was pressing it. They were pushing it. They were the team that was trying to get fouled, and that's what happened. And so they shot a lot more foul shots than Michigan did. Michigan only shot 6 foul shots. Purdue shot 22. Still missed 6 of them. I'm still bummed about that. That's a 72.7%. I guess I shouldn't be upset about that. But when the game was still like close, we missed 2 or 3, and I'm like, come on. I think Fletch missed 2 in a row. Sorry, Fletch. Didn't mean to throw you under the bus, brother. But you missed 2 in a row. Now, you didn't make your other 3, though. So Oscar had 7 of 11 for him. Somehow Trey Kaufman-Renn didn't get fouled. I'm not sure how that hadn't happened, although he shot that little floater in the lane all the time. So guys were away from him a lot of times, and he got that shot up pretty well. Braden was 6 for 12 shooting. Fletch was 4 of 7. He was 3 of 5 or 3 of 4 from three-pointers. We didn't even take that many three-pointers. We only took 14. Only made 4, though. Jack made 1 and Fletch made 3. Braden was 0 for 3. C.J. Cox was 0 for 2. And Jakari was 0 for 2 along with Omer, who was 0 for 3. So a lot of 0-fers there. That being said, we were pounding it down low, and that was the mainstay. But, you make just 2 of those. Just 2 more of those, right? And you get your three-point percentage shooting up from 28.6% to like 34, which would have been less than your normal. And look it's a blowout. That being said, hey, couple fouls from Michigan. A couple of their threes dropped because there were a couple that were close on them too. They only shot 29%. So a couple for either team makes a couple 3-pointers, and the game could be totally different. Could be a blowout or it could be a win for the other side. So. 4 guys on Michigan scored double digits. Yaxel scored 20. Mara scored 14. Cadeau scored 10. And it looks like Burnett scored 12. And that's all your starters right there. So both team starters did most of the heavy work on both these teams. Purdue did get out-rebounded. It was only 33-29. Offensive rebounds were 11-7. So you would think second-hand chance points would go towards Michigan, and it did 14-6. That could have changed the game right there. At halftime, it was 38-38, and Purdue outscored them 42-34 in the second half. So defensive push from Purdue. Some missed shots also from that team also, as Purdue went from 48 in the first half to 57 in the second half, almost 58. And it looks like Michigan improved from 45 to 48, but they didn't shoot as much. They only got 29 shots off in the second half compared to 35 in the first half. Purdue made 15 in the first half, 15 in the second, and it was 16 and 14 for Michigan. So the teams made the same amount of shots, but Purdue had the push on the free throw line for one. That was a plus 11 right there, and they ended up winning by 8. So, a couple three 3-pointers was the difference in that, as they made 7 and Purdue only made 4. So, lead changes. There were 5. Boy, each team led 4 times. In the paint, it was 40-46. So, Michigan did score more down low than I really thought. It just felt like they were floating around the perimeter more. Points from turnovers, there's your big difference. Purdue had 13. Michigan only had 2. Why did Michigan only had 2? Because Purdue only had 2 turnovers. 2. I said, did you hear me? 2. One by Fletcher Lawyer and one by Trey Kaufman-Renn. Don't remember either one of them, really. And Michigan had 7 turnovers, which is a great game for them. 7 turnovers is a good game, really. So Purdue held the ball, did not turn it over, made their free throws, made it a purposeful thing to try to draw fouls, and then ended up winning the game 80-72. So that's what you're seeing there on that front. Game-wise, I'm excited to see what the boys are going to do. Let's pop real quick back over to the weather. Let's see what the temperature is right now. I'm looking at it right now. It's a whole 29, 28. It just switched on me just as I looked at it. Feels like 4 because the wind's down just a couple knots, but not much. Feels like 4 degrees. Wind chills 0 to -5, maybe 0 to 5, depending on where you're at, what you're doing. So let's call it -5 to 5 throughout most of the morning. And the wind will slowly creep down as the day goes on. It was 20 miles an hour. Now it's 19. It'll probably be somewhere in this 20 range for sustained winds throughout the next few hours. And then in the afternoon, it'll creep down to 19, and then 18 again, and 17. And by this afternoon, it'll be back down to 10 to 15 with gusts to 25 or 30 instead of gusts to 30, 35 at times, which is what we have seen already this morning. It does look like there's potential for a very big warm-up by the weekend, as we could be encroaching our first 80 maybe on Saturday. We'll have to see on that. Sunday will definitely be right around 70, 75, and for sure it looks like 75 on Saturday. Not for sure. You can't say that in the weather world, but I feel pretty confident on it. Near 60 on Thursday, 45 on Wednesday. Cold again tomorrow with a high only 25 to 28 probably. The wind advisory is still in effect for a couple places. Let's see here. I'm popping on it right now. They still have the wind advisory for, it's just a snow statement. They're just telling you that there's snow out there, and it's us. And it's from the Indianapolis weather. So they're just looking for light snow for the rest of the day. Scattered snow showers will become more numerous later this morning into the afternoon before tapering off this evening. So watch out for some light snows with that on that front. Let me pop back out, see if I got anything extensive on the radar. No, everything's still back in central Illinois. There's a big gap now for a little while. You'll see flurries and light snow here and there. Looks like out over my house in the northern portion of the county, there's a little bit of light snow, but down in Lafayette and southern portion of the county, very little, maybe some flurries. That's about it at this point. So very nice system that went through. When you're a weatherman, you like that. You don't like that because you got to go out and about, but hopefully you're able to get out there and enjoy at least some of your day if you're off. And if you're not, you're inside working, you're not caring anyway, are you? Plus you're not listening to me. All right, that's it for now. We will be back on the air again at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, trying to let you know what's going on weather-wise, barring something really exciting happening weather-wise. That will be it until tomorrow. This is Bryan Burden, signing off.